Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, the Romanians are claiming that the Russians could have sabotaged their oil supply. So the Romanians are upset that the Russians they suspect the Russians of sabotaging their oil supply. What did you expect? The first question. Remember, one of the main difference between a child and an adult is the ability to foresee the possible consequences of your actions. Therefore, sometimes prevent yourself of doing certain things because of the negative consequences your actions could yield. In this case, Romania cries, "Oh my God, the Russians we suspect. Why not the Americans who blew the Nord Stream pipelines?" But in the meantime, the Romanians pledged continued military support to Ukraine. But they didn't expect the Russians to do anything in return? I guess not. Or that's exactly the plan. That's the first topic. The second one. While the Romanians claim the Russians could be behind the sabotage of their oil supplies, the Ukrainians blow up Druzhba pipeline station in Russia's Bryansk Oblast. So hey, that's a war, but I wonder how did they blow that up? With whose weapons? Could those weapons been Romanian? Just asking. We're not going to be probably told. Yesterday I made a video, moving to the next topic, with the Ukrainians announcing that the Azov Battalion will be deployed around Pokrovsk front. And now we find out that Ukraine deploys Azov Battalion reserves to Pokrovsk ahead of US-Russia summit. Probably they don't want to lose any more land over there. Pokrovsk is already, I would say, I don't want to use the word technically, but sometimes you don't have to be knocked out to lose the fight. So I think that's the case of Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk is already dead, I think, but it's not completely encircled. But it's already dead. You know, you're like beaten. That's with the Azov. And then we find out that the Russians have the ability to not only produce about 80,000 attack drones in 2025, but they fulfill their monthly recruitment of between 105 and 110%. So more people join the war, the military operation in Ukraine, than they are expected. That is a call, probably by the Ukrainians, to their own people. Go and die here, because look, the Russian patriots are eager to defend their evil Putin. So let's start with the Romanians. Here, Romania suspects Russia of sabotaging its oil supply. This is according to New Voice of Ukraine. Bucharest is investigating whether Russia deliberately contaminated a large volume of Azerbaijani crude oil with chlorides as part of hybrid warfare campaign against Romania. So and other European countries, Romanian outlet G4 Media reported on August 8. So you see, the Russians are conducting a hybrid warfare against Romania and poor European countries. Not the European countries and Romania, NATO, conduct a hybrid war against Russia. No, it's the other way around. What do you think? Well, as an adult, difference between a child and adult is what? The child is incapable of foreseeing consequences of their actions or negative consequences. Romania thought that providing weapons to Ukraine, and not only its territory and so on, logistics, would think that the Russians will not somehow negatively impact Romania? Is that what they thought, or that's exactly what they expected? Why? Because here we have another article, again from the New Voice of Ukraine. Romanian President, supposed to be, Nicușor Dan pledges continued military support for Ukraine. No Patriot talks yet. So this president of Romania, who is on other people's payroll, after all, he won because other people were banned. Excellent victory. I won the world tournament, but he was not allowed to fight. He was not allowed to fight. He was not allowed to fight, but somehow I won. Why? Because the other guys were eliminated. The guys who would have kicked my butt. The same with Nicușor Dan. Just look at him walk. It's enough. And look at his look, and you understand that's not right. What's going on over there? So the Romanians pledged support. The Russians, according to the Romanians, suspect sabotage. Why didn't they just suspect the Americans doing it? I'm just saying. And you remember, it's the Russians who fight a hybrid war against Romania and the poor Europeans, not the Europeans. Why? Because Russia moved its forces and its weapons towards the Western Europe, not the Western Europe through NATO moved its military infrastructure towards Russia. But Russia is the aggressor. Russia is the, how they call it, it's an imperialist power. Not the other guys. No, not the guy who advances, the guy who's waiting. That's the imperialist. Now, this is the theory of inversion. Good is bad, bad is good, war is peace, peace is war, and so on. Let's move to the next garbage. And here it is. New voice of Ukraine. Drone strike damaged Druzhba pipeline station in Russia's Bryansk Oblast. Where is Bryansk Oblast? Let's see if we can get the map. Right here. This is Bryansk is exactly here. This is the map of Ukraine. Right here. This is where the front line is. And this is Bryansk in the north by Belarus. So this is where the pipeline station was blown up by the Ukrainians. So let's see what details they give us. Ukraine Defense Ministry main intelligence directorate attacked a Transneft Druzhba pipeline pumping station in Onecha, Russia's Bryansk Oblast, with drones overnight. Drones, good, provided by the Romanians? We don't know. Next. Ukraine deploys Azov Battalion reserves to Krasnoarmeysk ahead of US-Russia summit. 5 hours ago, today on the what? 13th of August 2025. And where is that located? Well, let me show you. Right here, this is Donetsk, and this is Krasnoarmeysk or Pokrovsk in here. So these guys are deploying something here. I think Krasnoarmeysk is already dead. You don't need to be knocked out necessarily, lights out just, and that's only when you lose. You can tell this is going to be encircled, and these guys will not have any supplies coming into the city. Nevertheless, they bring reserves. Let's see what reserves they got. The Ukrainian armed forces are transferring reserves to the Krasnoarmeysk direction, including a unit of the ultra-nationalist Azov Battalion ahead of the Russia-US summit in Alaska. The Krasnoarmeysk direction is also now on everybody's lips. Well, not everybody's lips. We see there now, let's say, especially on the eve of the meeting in Alaska, special attention is being paid to this. The enemy is transferring additional forces, transferring units of Azov. Pushilin told the Soloviev live show. So why? Because the Ukrainians, they did between Krasnoarmeysk right here, or better put Dobropolye and Krematorsk. This is where they did it yesterday, between these two, to stop these guys going there. And now today, the third thing, they say no, actually on Pokrovsk. So they will try to stop the Russians' advancement right here towards the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Next, Ukrainian intelligence. Russia fulfills monthly recruitment plan at 100 to 110%. Again, from today. So a lot of Russians want to fight for their motherland. This is done, Skibitsky, I think this is Skibitsky, Vadim Skibitsky. So they are doing this to tell their Ukrainians, hey, you gotta go and fight for Zelensky-stein, for Zhmihalstein, for Yermakstein, for these guys. Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, DIU or DUI, has noted a fairly high level of staffing in the Russian armed forces. They maintain operational reserves and recruit citizens by promising large sums of money. So you're telling me the Russians have more money than you receive from the Western banks? Since when? I thought Russia is already kaput. No? And I'm quoting, one of the strong points of the Russian armed forces grouping is that they have operational reserves. They show up, maybe that's why. They use them for rotations, for strengthening at the most critical sections of the front and to replenish the losses they suffer on the battlefield. This is an important element, and we are clearly monitoring it. When rotations take place, when units are withdrawn from replenishment and to recover losses, the staffing level of the Russian armed forces is quite high. For example, the entire grouping of troops is staffed with officers at 98%, which is a very high figure. They also try to maintain similarly high staffing levels for their personnel. Their figures that have been voiced, 30,000 to 35,000 people per month, depending on the intensity of hostilities, are sent to replenish the losses of the Russian armed forces units. Overall, Russia's recruitment targets are met at a minimum of 105 to 110% each month. As today, about 67% of the 343,000 they planned to recruit this year has already been fulfilled. There is early data that they have already decided to increase this figure by at least 15 to 17%. So what does that mean? The Russians are going to be coming to the front more and more and more. So it's time for you to send your Romanian imbeciles, or your, Polish baboons, or your, Czech, to fight for your rights, for your families, for your tradition, for your cultures, for your pink hair, for your bowless men, and all that. No? All right. And plus, let me give you this. New voice of Ukraine. Ukrainian intel. Russia to produce 79,000 attack drones in 2025. So, that's not good, I'm guessing. Again, Vadim Sibitsky tells us that. In 2025, Russia plans to produce 79,000 drones of this type, including 40,000 Geran, that's bad for you guys, and 5,700 Harpia, first or 1S, and about 34,000 other models and decoys. That tells you a, booming economy over there. War economy. So what do? You impose sanctions, and when you impose sanctions on the secondary, so the buyers or the sellers of Russian oil, then the Russians will just lay down and, accept everything you guys impose on them. So yes, the Russians are coming to fight. The Russians have the means. How about you? Well, they're gonna push this on you. That's why they make these articles. They publish them to tell everybody else, look, the Russians are doing that. How about you guys? Not us, you guys. Why? He's not gonna be there, Sibitsky's son or something. No. Sibitsky is very well protected. I guarantee you that. And not only all those guys, but they want the Ukrainians to go and fight for the foreign interest. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.